Number 5 is Casa Grande. Around 1350 AD, the Casa Grande, or the Great House, and its surrounding compounds were constructed, representing one of North America's largest prehistoric structures. Despite its grandeur, the purpose of the site still remains a mystery. Evidence uncovered by archaeologists indicates that the ancestral Sonoran desert people responsible for the Casa Grande also pioneered wide-scale irrigation farming and established extensive trade connections lasting until approximately 1450. The term Hohokam is used by archaeologists to describe sites with earthen buildings, red on buff pottery, and extensive canals. However, this term does not refer to a specific tribe or people. The misunderstanding has caused confusion with the Ode Hodum, the Hopi, and Zuni people as Hohokam, and is not present in any of their languages. The Casa Grande fell out of use around 1450 AD, leaving behind no written records. The first historical accounts come from Padre Francisco Kino's journal entries during the 1694 visit. Lieutenant Colonel Juan Batista de Anza in his expedition in 1775, and Brigadier General Stephen Watts Kearny visit in 1846 provide additional insights. Public interest grew during the 1860s and 1880s due to improved transportation, leading to concerns about preservation from souvenir hunting and vandalism. Still had to deal with that back then like we do now. Anthropologist Adolph Bandelier, the Hemingway Southwestern Archaeological Expedition, and influential figures like Senator George F. Hoare and Benjamin Harrison played crucial roles in drawing attention to the deteriorating Casa Grande. In 1892, President Harrison established the Casa Grande ruins as the first prehistoric and cultural reserve in the United States. The General Land Office took charge in 1901, appointing Frank Pinkley as one of the first on-site custodians. Between 1906 and 1908, Jesse Fuchs of the Bureau of Ethnology conducted significant excavations and repairs. Casa Grande ruins became a national monument in 1918, managed by the National Park Service. Under President Woodrow Wilson, several construction projects occurred in the 1930s, including a visitor center, a steel-sheltered roof over Casa Grande, and adobe buildings by Civilian Conservation Corps. These structures listed on the National Register of Historical Places have maintained the site's appearance since the 1940s. The National Park Service continues its mission to protect and serve, and it oversees ongoing research, ruin repairs, interpretive programs, and visitor center remodeling, ensuring a meaningful experience for present and future generals at the Casa Grande Ruins National Monument. One thing to note about Casa Grande is you cannot camp there. So, and a lot of the other ones we're talking about today, you can camp on site, but this one you cannot. So if you go to visit, you have to stay outside and then you travel inward. Number 4 is the famous Taos Pueblo. In the heart of the Taos Valley, where the Rio Grande River embraces a small branch, a living tale actually unfolds. It's a story that began in ancient times around 900 AD, when the echoes of ancestral tribes settled in the region, creating the foundation for what would become the remarkable Taos Pueblo. In the early chapters of this narrative, the Pueblo stood as a central hub, where trade winds whispered through the Rio Grande, weaving connections between native tribes and plains tribes to the northeast. Each fall, a trade fair painted the Pueblo with vibrant stories of cultural exchange, leaving a mark on the first Spaniards who encountered this ancient land in 1540. The tale took a turn when Fray Francisco de Zamora arrived in 1598, bringing with him the influence of Spanish architecture and Catholic traditions. A church, San Geronimo de Taos, rose and became a symbol of both unity and resistance. As cultural tensions grew in the 1600s, the Pueblo faced destruction, but they rose from its ruins. As the 18th century unfolded, so did a unique chapter of cooperation between the native people and the Spanish. San Geronimo de Taos stood resilient against the backdrop of changing times, reflecting the fusion of two worlds. In 1847, the story took a dramatic turn when the New Mexico became U.S. territory. A revolt erupted in Taos Pueblo against the American tide, leading to a new mission church, a symbol of both defiance and adaptation. We're going to dive way deeper into that in a different story that revolves Kit Carson, but it was a very violent uprising. But for time's sake and for this video, we're just touching base on that something did happen. Anyway, moving on. As the 20th century dawned, the railroad ushered in modern tech, altering the Pueblo traditional rhythms. Yet within the Pueblo's walls, the legacy endured, marked by stacked adobe houses and yearly ceremonies renewing ancient plaster. Today, Taos Pueblo stands as a living testament, captivating visitors with its rich narrative. The sun-dried bricks whisper tales of resistance, adaptation, and cultural resilience. And in the quiet embrace of its kivas and shadows of its defensive walls, the ancient Pueblo invites all to wander through the chapters of history where past and present dance together, creating a story that unfolds on every visitor's step. So, as someone who has visited Taos Pueblo, you are welcome to visit the town. There is a multi-week ceremony in the spring. You cannot go, but they do invite visitors. You do not go in their houses unless invited to. They sell wares there. You can visit the church. There's a town outside of Taos Pueblo that's also beautiful. But one thing of note, on the main building, there's a set of mountains behind it, and it's constructed in a way, from what I've been told and what I've read, that the building is supposed to mimic the mountain ridge line behind them, so it kind of mimics it. So it's a multi-story building that they built years and years ago, that's still standing today, and you can go see it. I'm going to put a picture of it up, but it's an incredible place. Number 3 is Bandelier National Monument. In the enchanting landscapes near Los Alamos, New Mexico, a sprawling tale of ancestral Puebloans unfolds at Bandelier National Monument. This 33,677-acre sanctuary cradles the ancient homes and territories of people whose echoes resonate from the 12th to 16th centuries. As the narrative begins, sheer canyon walls guard secrets, cave dwellings and petroglyphs etched into the very fabric of the monument. Toyoni and Sakawi are the two large villages echo the whispers of an era when the ancestral Pueblo people, known as the Anasazi, shaped their lives from 1150 to 1550, roughly. In the quiet side of the Frijoles Canyon, the Puebloans constructed homes from volcanic tuff, which is a soft material that shapes their dwellings. A surge in population and construction activity after 1300 AD marked the flourishing of Bandelier. Axes crafted from hard basalt rock sourced nearby shaped the tough blocks, and the ponderosa pine provided sturdy vigas for their roofs. These resourceful people deeply connected to the lands, cultivating corn, beans, and squash in mesa-top fields, weaving their sustenance with native plants and meats from the abundant wildlife. Turkeys with feathers and meat to offer, and yucca plants yielding root for soap and shampoo were integral ways of life. By 1540, change was on the horizon. Francisco Vasquez de Coronado and his expedition arrived, witnessing a people already leaving the canyon for new homes along the Rio Grande. Over 400 years had passed, and the land could no longer sustain them. Compounded by a severe drought, oral traditions guide us to the Pueblo and the San Ildefonso Pueblo and the Cocochi Pueblo, direct descendants of those who once called Frijoles Canyon home. Silent ruins awaited discovery until Adolphe Bandelier, a Swiss-American historian, embarked on exploration in the 1880s. In the late 19th century, they saw proposals for protection, or a bill for a Cliff Cities National Park in the early 1900s, but it faltered. Renewed archaeological work from 1909 to 1912 sparked its interest again, leading to the establishment of Bandelier National Monument in 1916, honoring Adolphe Bandelier. Today, the monument, like a time capsule, preserves the remnants of prehistoric Indian civilization. The main loop trail beckons visitors into the heart of the living museum, where archaeological sites reveal tales of cave dwelling, masonry, and unique talus houses blending both worlds. The Pueblo Revival-style headquarters building stands as a testament to the Civilian Conservation Corps craftsmen in the 1930s, welcoming visitors with artifacts and insights into prehistoric modern Pueblo Indians. Hiking the trail, one encounters the Big Kiva, an underground structure steeped in ceremony importance. The journey continues to the Longhouse and the reconstructed Talus House, each whispering tales from communal living and archaeological ingenuity. Venturing further, the Alcove House awaits perched 140 feet above the canyon, accessible by wooden ladders and stone stairs. This former home of 25 ancestral Pueblo people invites imagination to climb these heights, carrying the supplies needed for daily life. Bandelier National Monument is a tale that's told by nature and nurtured by time. It unfolds 10 minutes south of Los Alamos, and the landscape holds the secrets of ancient people and invites modern explorers to walk its trail and glimpse into a bygone era. Number 2 is Choco Canyon National Historic Park. It was difficult to pick between what I have at number 1 and Choco Canyon. Choco Canyon is absolutely incredible. It proves that ancient America does have history. A lot of people like to study Rome and like to study ancient England because of the rich history. There's rich history here. The cultures that lived here did not use written language to pass down their traditions. They use oral language. They speak about it to themselves. So we have to discover a lot more, but this site proves that there is substantial population that lived in one area for religious reasons. It's standing today. You can go see it today. And it just solidifies that we have more history in America, not all of our country, but in America, we have more history to uncover. And that's super exciting as a history fan and somebody who runs this channel, that there's still more to do. So that's my little soapbox for Choco Canyon. I think it is absolutely incredible. It is a must-see. Out of all these are must-sees. Choco Canyon is a must-see if you want to dive into traditional native buildings, traditional native culture. You have to see it. Okay, moving on. In the heart of northwestern New Mexico, where the Chaco wash carves a relatively inaccessible valley, lies the Chaco Culture National Historic Park, a testament to America's rich culture and historic legacy. This remote and isolated park, positioned between Albuquerque and Farmington, unfolds a captivating narrative through the distinctive architecture, ancient roads, and numerous ruins. Choco Canyon, once a vibrant center of ancestral Puebloan culture from 850 to 1250 AD, emerges as the focal point of this cultural saga. Stretching its influence across the Four Corners area, the Four Corners where the states meet, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and Utah, kind of in that area. Choco culture, by 1000 AD, established a spiritual, political, and economic hub. An estimated 5,000 people inhabited approximately 75 scattered settlements through the canyon, which created flourishing civilizations. The ancient Puebloans, skilled architects and engineers, left a mark on the landscape. Amidst the public and ceremonial buildings, a network of roads, ramps, dams, and mounds unfolded, a testament to the meticulous planning and construction. The distinctive architecture, blending designs, astronomical alignments, geometry, and landscaping, transformed Choco Canyon into an ancient urban center, resonating through time. Archaeological evidence traces the ancient Puebloans' presence in the region as early as 1200 BC. Their evolution from nomadic hunters and gatherers to settlers in caves and pit houses marked the basket maker era around 1700 AD, and the transition to agriculture began, bringing forth these small masonry structures and the stages of Grand Puebloans that would define the Southwest. Pueblo Bonito is a colossal D-shaped pueblo, symbolizes the pinnacle of Chacoan architecture. Rising nearly 5 stories and encompassing approximately 650 rooms surrounding a central plaza, it stood as a vibrant hub from the mid-800s to the 1200s. Over time, other monumental structures like Chetro Celt, Univita, Penasco Blanca, Hongo Pavi, and Kinbanoala enriched the canyon's tapestry. As the Chacoans quarried sandstone blocks and transported timber from great distances, 15 major complexes emerged, dominating North America's skyline until the 19th century. These buildings, intricately aligned with solar and lunar cycles, bear witness to generations of astronomical observations and centuries of coordinated construction. However, in the 12th and 13th centuries, we see a stark shift. Again, a prolonged drought starting in about 1130 initiated the decline of Choco Canyon's prosperity. Despite sophisticated dam and irrigation systems, the dry climate and the overtaxed fields led to famine. The once thriving civilization dispersed, seeking refuge near the Little Colorado River and, again, the Rio Grande. Factors like religious upheaval, internal conflicts, and warfare further contributed to the abandonment. By the 1300s, the once bustling village lay deserted, kivas ceremonially burned, and possessions actually left behind. The legacy of Choco Canyon persists in its descendants, members of 20 Indian tribes in New Mexico and Arizona. Modern Pueblo Indians, Hopi, and Navajo communities maintain their connections with this sacred land. Over centuries, Choco Canyon witnessed the ebb and flow of inhabitants. By the 1600s, the Navajo people primarily occupied the canyon, fostering a cultural exchange with the Pueblo people. Spanish explorers, artists, and photographers documented Chacoan site in the 18th and 19th century, paving the way for subsequent expeditions and archaeological endeavors. Choco Canyon National Monument, as we know it today, was established by Theodore Roosevelt in 1907 and paved the way for preservation efforts and research. The park expanded in 1980, and ongoing initiatives protect Chacoan sites on adjacent lands, recognizing their sacred significance. Today, Choco Canyon National Historic Park stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, inviting visitors to explore its rich tapestry. The park offers guided tours, hiking, biking, trails, camping facilities, and night sky programs, ensuring the preservation of this unparalleled testament to ancestral Puebloan civilization. As Choco Canyon weaves together the threads of time, it remains a sacred and revered chapter in American cultural and historical narrative. And number one is the famous, the infamous, the absolute must-see of all these is Mesa Verde. Perched high above the dramatic landscapes of southwestern Colorado, Mesa Verde, translating to Green Table in Spanish, stands as a captivating window into the lives of ancient Puebloan people. For over 700 years, from 600 AD to 1300 AD, the vast national park, spanning 52,073 acres, has safeguarded its legacy of these ancient inhabitants with over 600 cliff dwellings and 4,000 archaeological sites nestled within its borders. Only a fraction of what has been excavated. They are still excavating and finding more things there to this day. The saga of Mesa Verde begins around 600 AD, when agricultural communities, known as basket makers, started settling in the areas, showcasing exceptional basket weaving skills. This initial phase lacked pottery, permanent dwellings, and the use of the bow and arrow. The subsequent growth period between 400 and 700 AD witnessed the emergence of modified basket makers. Pottery and roofed dwellings marked this transition, evolving into compact villages or pueblos around 750 AD. These compact clusters, featuring varied wall constructions, paved the way for communal spaces like kivas. In the climactic Classic Pueblo period, which is thought to be around 1100 to 1300 AD, Mesa Verde witnessed a shift as some ancient Puebloan Indians migrated to alcoves and canyon walls, leaving the mesa tops behind. This point reaches its zenith as a flourishing Puebloan culture, creating a striking tapestry of cliff dwellings that define Mesa Verde's unique identity. However, the echoes of prosperity were disrupted in 1276 AD when again a severe drought struck the region, persisting for 23 years. Springs dried up and the people faced a perilous situation. Forced to seek regions with more reliable water sources, they abandoned village after village, leaving the Mesa Verde area. The first mention of Mesa Verde dates back to 1859 with Captain J.N. McComb's exploration, but it wasn't until 1874 that William H. Jackson discovered the two-story cliff house. Other explorers followed, unveiling the treasures of Balcony House, Cliff Palace, Square Tower, and more. And just a side note, the thought of just exploring this country and finding something as incredible as Mesa Verde is one of the things that drives me to continue doing as much work as I do on this channel. I think there's still more to be found in this area. It's still being excavated, like I said earlier. We're still finding it, so you're able to volunteer for to help excavate some of these sites, and I think that's something that I'd like to do. So anyway, just a side note, I think it'd be awesome to, in this day and age, find something on our planet. So the preservation journey of Mesa Verde took shape slowly through proposals for a national park that emerged in the late 19th century. It wasn't until June 29th of 1906 that our favorite president, Theodore Roosevelt, favorite president for the national park system that we get to enjoy so much, he established Mesa Verde National Park, the first of its kind aimed at preserving the works of man. Today, the park's commitments to preserving both cultural and national resources remain steadfast. Visitors to Mesa Verde encounter a rich array of archaeological sites ranging from the 500s era pit house to the 1200s cliff dwellings. While the cliff dwellings steal the spotlight, the mesa top pit houses and Puebloans are equally significant. To ensure maximum protection, strict regulations mandate that visitors can enter cliff dwellings only when accompanied by a park ranger. However, over 20 mesa top sites and viewpoints offer self-guided exploration opportunities, and some of those are closed during winter. Mesa Verde is accessible. It's a 1 hour drive from Cortez or an hour and a half drive from Durango. It's right outside of a town called Mancos, Colorado, and Mesa Verde National Park welcomes visitors year-round. The park features a visitor center, a museum, guided and self-guided tours, hiking trails, a campground, and an immersive experience inviting all to unravel the mysteries and the wonders of the ancient Puebloan legacy. So Mesa Verde, when you drive in, it is on top of a mesa, even the campground. So once you enter the park, it is a straight drive up, winding and winding and winding until you get to the very top, and you can see everywhere. From certain parts of Mesa Verde, you can see into New Mexico from the top. So you can see vast miles. You can see miles on top of some of these outposts. There's actually an outpost at the very top that is supposed to be for bad weather. During bad weather seasons, there's a ranger who lives up there and sees, I think it's at 9,000 feet, pretty high. And there's also other mountains that you can see from there. It is a 100% must-see if you are interested in Southwestern culture, if you're interested in Native culture. This is the must-see of all these. They're all fantastic. They're all something that you should strive to see in your lifetime. But Mesa Verde is the pinnacle. It is the top of the top, cream of the crop site to see if you're interested in this type of history, which if you listen to this channel, you are. But if you have a chance, you can camp there. They have like bunk houses there, showers. There are rangers that give like nightly history lessons at these amphitheaters. There's hikes to see the main house. You can drive around this big loop and see all. There's little like outposts for you to see across the canyon where other families would live in the canyon. You can see their houses. There are wild horses that got loose 100 years ago, maybe longer, that the park system have not figured out how to get out fast enough before they breed. Last time I went, they are just wild horses they call them feral horses. I'm going to call them wild horses. They just run wild and live on top of the mesas. It's fantastic. And there's hikes to see petroglyphs where they think the Puebloan people wrote what they think is how the world was formed. You can literally go up and almost touch it. It's a little more intensive hike, but it's there for you to see. So please support our park system. Please support the continuing excavation of the culture that helps shape not only the area that it's in, but help shape the country. We owe that to the tribes there. So go support it. Go see it with your own eyes. It's a must. Mesa Verde is a must-see spot if you're interested in this history.